Okay, so for today's project, we are doing a deck restore with the Behr Premium Wood Coating Textured Deck Overpaint. We already power washed all the wood. Some of the wood here is new, some of it's old. This is all fairly new wood, less than a year old. But down here, as we go down here, this is all very old wood. And you see, there's cuts and splinters in it and whatnot. So we've already power washed it. We're sweeping it down now to clean it all up. And then we're gonna put a nice thick coating on this to see how well it covers. And that's basically that. So what we're gonna do is prep it first. We're gonna use paintbrushes to go ahead and fill in all these grooves here. And once all that's said and done, we'll throw on our first coat and then go ahead back and do the second coat. So let's see how this works. So we're just putting on coats just like this in between our planks of wood right now. I'm using a regular brush, nothing crazy. Look out, baby. And we just dip it in. Kind of, I guess, sloppy coats for that matter. I just want to ensure that I've got a really good coverage. And I'm peeking in there and making sure everything is nicely sealed. Not only is this going to look good, but we want to protect our wood at the end of the day. If anyone's ever used this stuff before, I have. This isn't my first time using this. It will create a nice shell over the wood as it hardens, and that's ultimately what you want. I mean, this is for protection more than anything, with the bonus of having it look nice. You'll even see as we go, to give you an example, little tiny fine cuts like that in the wood. As this goes over, it'll fill these in. Now, when we do this flat part of the wood, we're not going to use a brush like this. We're going to actually use the roller. But just to give you an understanding of how this works, the thicker it goes on, the more it fills in all those little gaps. Picture that's like spackle almost for your wood here. So we're going to keep going with that, and once everything is done, we'll start using the roller. Alright, so this is where we're at the moment. All the edging and whatnot in between the boards is done for the most part. Anything that I'm going to have a difficulty hitting up with the roller, I took the liberty of just doing right now. As you can see now, try to get in the sun, you can see that textured effect. It gives it like a Trex deck kind of look. And this is, I mean, it's barely half a coat right there. So we're going to be doing 2 coats over this. This is relatively easy because this is fairly new wood. This wood is less than a year old. Like I said before, when it comes to this wood down here, this wood's very old. Now, really, this wood should be replaced, right? But we're trying to get a little more life out of the wood. And what I'll be doing, yeah, I will be going over this with a roller. But just for demonstration purposes, cracks like this, you can kind of see how just going over it, it does fill in all those gaps and cuts and grooves and whatnot. So I'm trying to get nice thick coats over here, as smooth as possible. And so we're using it as our base, and then we go over it with the roller once or at least twice for that matter. This should really shape up quite nice. You see like a cut like this? And once we get in there and just kind of fill in all those grooves, it does look pretty slick. It looks new actually, and it's hardly new wood. This wood's pretty old and rough. It did clean up quite nice, or quite well, I should say. But yeah, I mean, it's rough wood. This isn't gonna fix the wood, but it'll extend the life of it, and it looks way more presentable. So once this dries, this will kind of smooth out a little bit, fill in the gaps, and then when we go over it with the roller, it'll look all the nicer here. There's more. This I'm doing with the brush because I just don't want to get it on the brickwork. As I'm going through, I'm just kind of going over it with getting in these grooves and whatnot. And this is easy. I mean, anyone could do this. I don't do this professionally. This isn't something I'm, trained on doing. It's a really good product. I've used it before, and I've had really good luck with it in the past. So it was a no-brainer to use this. Here's like an after shot, and then here's like a before. And you can see what we're working with. And here, case in point, you'd have a groove or a cut like that. And as I go over it, it kind of just fills it in. And that's pretty slick. And as this dries, it'll look even nicer. So we're going to continue with what we're doing and how we're doing it. And as we go along, I'll keep you up to date. So this is where we're at so far. Nowhere near done. me just kind of hop across because some of this is still kind of wet. It's got that nice textured feel to it. So it's I guess a non-slip. And if you notice, you still see some of the wood texture, but all the really, really deep grooves here that were bad, it's all been filled in by the paint. It does give an appearance of like a Trex deck, you know, sort of material, which is really cool. I've got a lot of spots here I gotta touch up on, but I'm waiting for this. This is the second coat that's on here now, and this is covered really well. A little doesn't go a long way. I think a lot goes a little way with this stuff. And what you see here, I don't know square footage wise, but this area and everything you see here so far, I'd say that's about close to 4 gallons of paint so far. So more than likely I'll be going out and buying more of this. Between touch-ups and then my whole second level and then all underneath the deck and whatnot, I'm definitely going to need at least another 5 gallons, maybe more. But this area is completely done, and everything you see over here is completely done, other than some touch-ups or whatever it is. But there's 2 coats on here. I'm just going to let this sit. The sun is really helping also. The sun really speeds up the drying. And what's nice is that we don't have any kind of cold weather coming up for the next 5 or 6 days. So this is really going to cure the best possible way. So we're going to continue on. So the sun helps with the drying. And the pieces that are in direct sunlight have dried hard. There's a nice shell here, you can feel it. It's got a nice textured feel to it. And you can tell it's not gonna, there's no slip here. And it's actually not even sticky anymore.
Can I stand on it?
Some of the pieces you can stand on, some of them you can't. But it's coming along alright here. You can see some of the pieces that the paint hasn't cured yet, but this is filling in. There were huge holes in the wood here, and this is still soft to the touch. This is going to take a while to dry.
This is like nail house though.
You like it?
Yeah.
So you can see here. Yeah, over there you can stand. So over here it's nice and dry. The barbecue will go on top here. And again, there's a lot of touch-ups I got to do. There's a bunch of pieces here I've missed so far. But it's coming along. Alright, so this is what 5 gallons did for me. There's a lot of square footage down here, and mind you, this wood is in bad shape. So quite a bit of paint was used to fill in holes and all sorts of pock marks in the wood and so on and so forth. When it came to the good healthy wood, not a lot was required. 2 good coats and that was the end of it. So this is where we have already, it's dry to the touch. I mean, technically it hasn't been 24 hours, it's only been a few hours, but it's been sitting in the sun and it's not even sticky at this point. Certain parts were really, really thick. Yeah, this is still sticky over here and I'm not going to touch that. Come back over here, and I don't know the square footage here, but this is basically what 5 gallons has done for me. That's empty. So tomorrow we'll run back to Home Depot, we'll pick up another 5-gallon drum. I'll finish up this bottom area down here and all the little spots that I've missed, and then we'll go ahead and take care of the steps and then up, excuse me, and then up there. I think 5 gallons should do it at that point, because all this going from here up is all brand new wood. Oh, you know, 9 months old, whatever, and it shouldn't require too much. Yeah, and that's basically it. Right now Home Depot is running a sale on this. I think it's $178 I paid for 5-gallon drum, but because it's Memorial Day weekend, you get a $20 mail-in rebate. So that's pretty cool. That's a nice savings. And that's it. So tomorrow we'll continue to film, and we'll see what's left and how far along we come.